It is one of those nights where the wind outside sounds like it is trying to get in. The heater is humming, and two best friends are buried under a mountain of blankets with mugs of hot chocolate that are somehow already half empty. This is the night Mia and Leo decided to play a game that would quietly destroy everything they thought they knew about history. Mia is the calm one, the type who actually reads the plaque at museums instead of just walking past it. Leo is the type who watched one 20-second video 3 years ago and has been confidently repeating it as fact ever since. Tonight, wrapped in blankets like two burritos with opinions, they are about to find out how dangerous a little overconfidence can be, even from the safety of a couch. The plan is simple. They found an old box of trivia cards in Mia's closet, dusty and slightly bent, each one holding a history fact or a myth. The rule is easy too. Whoever guesses wrong has to do a small embarrassing dare, written on a separate stack of cards that Leo insists on calling the punishment pile, with way too much enthusiasm for someone who has never once won a trivia game in his life. Leo shuffles the cards like he is dealing in a casino, grinning, completely unaware that this cozy little game night is about to turn into a slow, hilarious unraveling of almost everything he believes about the past. The first card flips over, and Mia reads it aloud. It claims that Vikings wore horned helmets into battle. Leo slams his palm on the table so fast his cocoa nearly tips over, shouting that obviously this is true because every cartoon, movie poster, and metal band logo has shown this for his entire life, so how could it possibly be wrong? This is the trap. This is exactly the kind of confident wrongness that gets people in trouble, whether they are sitting on a couch or actually trying to survive in the wild, based on something they saw once online. Mia, far too calmly for someone holding a winning card, explains that there is no solid archaeological evidence that Vikings ever wore horned helmets in combat. The horned helmet image actually became popular much later, largely through 19th century opera costumes and romantic paintings that wanted Vikings to look dramatic and fierce on stage, not historically accurate. Leo's face falls slowly, like a man realizing his entire personality has been built on a costume designer's fashion choice. He grumbles, grabs a punishment card, and is forced to do his impression of a seal for 30 seconds, an act so committed that Mia almost chokes on her cocoa laughing. It is a small loss, but it plants a seed of doubt in Leo, the kind of doubt that says, maybe, just maybe, the internet rabbit holes he fell into years ago were not the reliable history professors. He assumed they were. They settle back in, the blankets rearranged, and Leo insists this was just a warm-up, that the real wins are coming. Mia just smiles and flips the next card. This one claims that people in medieval times rarely bathed and smelled terrible all the time. Leo nods immediately, fully convinced, because this fits the dirty, grimy medieval image he has built in his head from years of fantasy movies and video games. He is wrong again, and he does not even see it coming. Mia explains that medieval Europeans actually valued bathing more than most people assume, with public bathhouses common in many towns, herbal soaps in regular use, and physicians of the time often recommending regular washing for health. The myth of constant medieval filth grew much later, partly from later periods when bathing genuinely declined due to fear of disease spreading through water, and partly because dirt and grime simply make for a more dramatic movie aesthetic. Leo stares at his card like it personally betrayed him. He mutters something about how he is now apparently losing to people who lived hundreds of years ago, and somehow had better hygiene habits than his assumptions gave them credit for. The punishment this time is brutal for someone as proud as Leo. He has to sing the alphabet backwards, while balancing a spoon on his nose. It takes 4 attempts, 2 dropped spoons, and 1 moment where he genuinely forgets what letter comes after F, but he survives it, and the cozy night rolls onward with the fireplace crackling in the background like it is enjoying the show. For a brief, glowing moment, things feel calm again. They refill their mugs, steal each other's blankets in a small tug of war, and Leo declares with absolute confidence that his luck is about to change. It does not. The third card is about Albert Einstein failing math as a student, a story Leo has heard so many times he considers it basically scientific law at this point. He answers true before Mia even finishes reading the question, practically vibrating with certainty. This is where the night takes its first real twist, because Mia reveals that this myth is almost the opposite of reality. Einstein actually excelled at mathematics from a young age, mastering subjects far beyond his grade level. The myth likely spread because of a misunderstanding involving a change in the German grading scale, where a low number that looked like a failing grade in one system actually represented a high score in another. Leo looks personally wounded, as if his favorite excuse for struggling with algebra homework as a kid has just been taken away from him in real time. Mia cannot resist pointing out that this might explain a lot about Leo's own report cards growing up. The dare this time involves Leo attempting to recite multiplication tables while hopping on one foot, a task that ends with him crashing gently into a pile of couch cushions, laughing too hard to even be embarrassed anymore. But the night is far from over, and the stakes are about to rise in a way neither of them expects. Outside, the storm picks up just slightly, rain tapping harder against the window, almost like the night itself wants to add a little tension to this game. Mia jokes that if the power goes out mid-game, whoever is winning automatically gets crowned champion, a rule Leo immediately and loudly agrees to, since he is currently losing by a humiliating margin. The fourth card flips, and this one feels personal for Leo, because it concerns one of his favorite facts, the claim that Napoleon Bonaparte was unusually short for his time, practically a walking punchline of a man. He answers true instantly, almost offended that anyone would even question this. Mia, enjoying this far too much, explains that Napoleon was actually around 5 feet 6 or 7 inches tall, which was close to average height for a Frenchman of his era. The short Napoleon myth likely grew from British political cartoons designed to mock and diminish him, combined with confusion over French versus English measurement units, and possibly exaggerated by the fact that his personal guards were chosen for their above-average height, making him look smaller by comparison. Leo groans dramatically, flopping backward onto the couch as though his entire understanding of European history has just been knocked over like a row of dominoes. He admits, half joking and half horrified, that he might need to apologize to Napoleon's ghost. The punishment card forces him to do his best dramatic Napoleon pose for an entire minute, one hand tucked into his shirt, chin held high while Mia narrates his tragic downfall in an exaggerated movie trailer voice. It is, without question, the funniest moment of the night so far. Just as they catch their breath from laughing, the lights flicker. Both of them freeze, eyes wide, mugs halfway to their mouths. The flicker passes, the lights steady again, but the moment plants a small electric thread of urgency into the cozy atmosphere. Suddenly, this is not just a relaxed game night anymore. It feels like a race against a storm that might cut the power and end everything mid-question. Leo, sensing an opportunity to recover some pride, suggests they speed things up, flipping cards faster, racing to grab as many points as possible before anything else can interrupt them. This urgency leads to his next mistake, the kind that comes from answering too fast without thinking it through. The card claims that the Great Wall of China can be seen from space with the naked eye, a fact Leo has repeated to multiple people throughout his life with total confidence. He shouts the answer before Mia even finishes the sentence. He is wrong, and badly. Mia explains, while trying not to look too smug, that astronauts have repeatedly confirmed the Great Wall is incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to see from low orbit with the naked eye, since it is narrow and made of materials that blend into the surrounding landscape. Much of what people imagine as a thick, obvious stripe across the planet simply does not match how human vision works at that altitude. Many other much wider man-made structures are actually easier to spot from space than the wall ever was. Leo throws his hands up, declaring that the universe is personally against him tonight, that even astronauts are apparently in on this conspiracy to humble him in front of his best friend. His punishment sends him into the kitchen for refills, but with the added rule that he has to narrate every single step like a dramatic nature documentary, describing his journey to the refrigerator as though he is a rare animal venturing into dangerous territory. Mia nearly falls off the couch laughing as Leo whispers commentary about the treacherous tile floor and the elusive box of crackers. When he returns, slightly out of breath from laughing at himself, the rain outside has grown heavier, and there is a small crack of thunder that makes them both jump and spill a little cocoa onto the blanket. The cozy night has officially gained a layer of tension neither of them planned for. They wipe up the mess, rearrange themselves under the blankets again, and Mia flips the next card with a raised eyebrow, clearly enjoying her lead far too much. This card brings up Marie Antoinette, and the infamous phrase often associated with her about letting people eat cake when they have no bread. Leo, predictably, assumes this is 100% something she actually said, since he has heard it referenced in countless shows and jokes. Mia gently breaks the news that historians have found no solid evidence that Marie Antoinette ever said anything like that, and the phrase was already circulating in writings years before she was even queen, often attributed to other royal figures. In similar stories about ignorance and excess, it became attached to her later, partly because it fits so neatly into the public image of a careless, out-of-touch monarch during a time of growing unrest. Leo, now fully spiraling, mutters that apparently nothing he learned from television can be trusted anymore, a statement so dramatic that Mia tells him he should put it on a t-shirt. His punishment this round involves a strange one, attempting to balance a cracker on his forehead while reciting as many country capitals as he can remember in 1 minute. The cracker falls 3 times before he manages even 10 seconds of balance, and his capital list quickly devolves into him just naming cities he likes the sound of. Despite the laughter, there is a quiet shift happening. Leo is starting to ask better questions before answering, pausing slightly, second-guessing the things he once accepted, without thought. It is a small, funny kind of growth, hidden inside a silly game. Then the real setback hits. Right as Mia reaches for the next card, the lights cut out completely, the room dropping into a sudden hush of darkness, the storm finally making good on its threat. Both of them yelp, Leo knocking his mug clean off the side table in the panic, cocoa splattering across the floor in the dark. For a moment there is chaos, fumbling hands searching for a phone flashlight, the warm, cozy mood briefly replaced with the disoriented scramble of 2 people who suddenly cannot see anything. Leo's phone flashlight clicks on first, casting jagged shadows across the room as Mia laughs at how dramatic this entire situation has become, over a simple trivia game, with the lights down. They decide the game must continue by flashlight, because apparently neither of them is willing to let a power outage end their unofficial history showdown. This decision sets the stage for the final stretch of the night, where the stakes, at least emotionally, are about to peak. The next card, read aloud in the shaky glow of a phone flashlight, claims that Thomas Edison invented the light bulb entirely on his own. Leo answers true instantly, almost desperate to win one back after his long losing streak. It is, once again, not quite right. Mia explains that several inventors had already created early versions of incandescent light bulbs before Edison, including a British inventor whose work predated Edison's famous patent by years. What Edison truly excelled at was improving the design into something more practical, longer lasting, and commercially viable, then building an entire system around it for widespread use. His real genius was less about being first and more about making the idea actually work at scale. Leo, sitting in the dim phone light, looks personally exhausted by how many of his facts have collapsed tonight. He jokes that he should just stop talking entirely and let Mia narrate the rest of human history for him. His punishment this time, fittingly, involves trying to write his name with a flashlight in the air, while Mia attempts to guess the letters, an activity that ends in confused laughter and absolutely no correct guesses. By now the score is wildly lopsided, but something interesting is happening beneath the comedy. Leo has stopped blurting out answers based on vague memories of movies and old jokes. He has started asking quiet, thoughtful questions, the kind that actually sound like someone trying to learn, instead of someone trying to win. There is one card left in the punishment pile, the final dare, deliberately saved by Leo for what he calls his redemption round, a phrase Mia mocks instantly but secretly respects. The very last trivia card becomes the unofficial tiebreaker of the night. It states that the ballpoint pen was invented before the typewriter. Leo hesitates this time, actually pausing to think instead of shouting an answer immediately, a small but meaningful change after everything that happened tonight. After a long, exaggerated, suspenseful pause that makes Mia roll her eyes, he finally answers false, reasoning out loud that typewriters became common in offices long before ballpoint pens were practical and widely available. He is right. Mia, slightly stunned, confirms that early typewriters became commercially significant in the late 1800s. While reliable, mass-produced ballpoint pens did not become widely practical and popular until the 1940s, largely due to improvements in ink formulas that finally stopped them from leaking everywhere. Leo throws his arms up in triumph despite the absurd power outage, despite the spilled cocoa, despite losing nearly every other round of the night, because this one win feels enormous to him. Mia laughs and admits that this was the first time all night he actually thought before answering instead of relying on whatever half-remembered fact had been floating around in his head for years. As if on cue, the lights flicker back on, the storm outside finally calming into a gentler patter of rain, and the room glows warm again. Blankets rumpled, cocoa stains on the rug, trivia cards scattered everywhere like the aftermath of a tiny, cozy battlefield. They tally the score properly now that they can see, and Mia wins by a wide margin, which surprises absolutely nobody. But the real result of the night is something neither of them expected when they pulled out that dusty box of cards. Leo has gone from blindly repeating myths to actually pausing, questioning, and reasoning through information instead of accepting it just because it sounded familiar or dramatic. The lesson sitting quietly underneath all the laughter is a simple one. Many of the facts people grow up believing about history come from movies, cartoons, half-remembered school lessons, or catchy phrases that simply sound true, rather than from what actually happened. Real history is often messier, more surprising, and far more interesting than the polished myths built around it. As they finally clean up the spilled cocoa and rearrange the blankets for one last relaxed stretch of the night, Leo declares that from now on he is officially retiring as an unreliable narrator of history facts. Mia, without missing a beat, says, "That is the first completely accurate thing he has said all night." They settle back into the couch, the storm fading into a soft drizzle outside, the kind of comfy quiet that makes the whole chaotic, myth-busting, slightly chaotic evening feel worth it. Leo grabs one final trivia card from the box just for fun, reads it silently, then immediately turns it face down and refuses to answer, claiming he needs at least a full week to recover before risking his ego again. Mia just laughs, pulls the blanket up over both of them, and says that history will still be there next time, patiently waiting to prove him wrong all over again.